तब सब मार्ग मिलने मिल के कही, श्री जी सो विख्यात, अपने मत हम सब ने कहे, अब आप कहो साख्यात। कौन शास्त्र में कहाँ कही है, सो हमें कहो दई शाख, नई राह है तुम्हारी कहो हमें विधि भाख, नई राह है तुम्हारी कहो हमें विधि भाख। बोले श्री धाम के धनी की जय। Dear Chandraji, I'd like to welcome you to the yet another session of our Beetak Discourse. On Monday, we talked about different 6 philosophies of Vedic religious tradition: Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vedanta, Vaisheshika, Sankhya. Among those 6 philosophies, the acharyas, the leaders, the scholars of all those philosophies came forward, introducing their faiths and beliefs. And Mahamati Prananath has heard their description of their philosophies, asked the questions. Some of them talked about God being, the Lord Supreme being time, Akal. Some said Maya, the world, the Jivas, and the Ishvara, the God, all being eternal. Some said that the world is created by the union between the being and the Prakriti, the nature. And Mahamati Prananath asked them questions, and they do not have the answer to the question. When they talk about the omnipresence of God, Mahamati Prananath asked, if that was the case, why was there the need for these 6 philosophies among the Vedas, Upavedas, Upanishads, among other Vedic scriptures? Because as we all believe that Brahma is Satchidananda, knowledge, truth, bliss, absolute. So if God is knowledge absolute, then if God is omnipresent, then there should be no ignorance, says Mahamati. When Mahamati Prananath asked all these questions, eventually they concede to Mahamati Prananath. They say that we do not have answers to your questions, so now we would like you to introduce your faith. Apane mata hum sabne kahe, ab aap kaho shakyat. Now it's your turn to speak, to describe the faiths, the practice, the beliefs, the tenets of your faith. But what we would like is for you to give the reference of the scriptures. Let's say if you say your pilgrimage is Navatanpuri or Jamuna River, then we want the reference of where it is stated. We would like you to speak about the mode of moksha or salvation, how moksha is attained according to your faith. We would want you to explain that on the basis of Vedic reference to it. Nai raha hai tumhari, kaho hame vidhi vakha. It seems like your sect is a new one, and we want you to describe it to us. We want you to introduce it to us. Mahamati Prananath started talking about the faith now. He says, in Harivamsa Purana, kahi vyasa Harivamsa me dekho santa vichara, jana me jai raja prati suno virodhata jasara. So Mahamati Prananath asked them to look into Harivamsa Purana, one of the Puranas, where Vedavyasa, the guru, the religious scholar, the priest of the whole of Hinduism, on the teachings, because of his teachings, because of his revelations, Guru Purnima is celebrated. Vedavyasa is guiding the king called Janmejaya. He is guiding him. From Sanakadika to the saints of our time, there were many souls. But Janmejaya said, when Vedavyasa said that we are not the awakened souls, Janmejaya was surprised. From Sanakadika to the saints of your time, the present time, there were none awakened souls, there were no Brahma Munis. Because you are saying that you are not the Muni, you are not the awakened one. Vedavasa said, such awakened souls will appear in Kali Yuga, the Bronze Age, the fourth and the worst Yuga, which is considered to be full of conflict and sins. He quoted the reference from Harivamsa Purana. Avavino bhavishyanti munayo brahmarupina utpannaya krita yuge pradhana purushasraya katha yogina tan sarvan pujayishyanti manava yat puja prabhavinaiva jivasishtarudaranam. Mahamati Prananath explains that something that has never happened will happen in Kali Yuga when Brahma-like divine souls residing with the Supreme Brahma, Aksharati Sri Krishna, will incarnate in this world. The true, the meek, the devoted, these humble souls will rescue and liberate all the jivas, all the souls, because of the devotion and penance to the Lord Supreme. Mahamati Prananath is explaining that the faith that they are finding new was prophesied to come into this Kali Yuga. It is not something new. It is not something that was never talked about. The arrival, the descent of the consorts of the Lord Supreme, the arrival of the transcendent understanding of Lord's name, form, abode, and leelas. It is believed in Vishnu Purana, it is stated that since these holy spirits, these consorts of the Lord Supreme will appear in the Kali Yuga, the deities from heaven, the gods and goddesses, would also want to descend to the world as human beings. The deities state that they are desperate to have a human life, as the glorious Indian subcontinent, Bharat Bhumi, would provide an opportunity for them to attain eternal salvation and moksha, because they would be awakened by them. Gayanti deva kilagita kani dhanyastu ye bharat bhumi bhagi swargapa vargasya chahit bhuta vavanti bhuya purushasu. Mahamati Prananath quotes from Bhagavad 11.5.38. Krita adisu praja rajan kala vichanti sambhavam kalu khalu bhavishyanti narayana parayana. The scholars, the awakened souls from Satya, Treta, and Dwapara Yuga would also want to come to this Kali Yuga, because the consorts of the Lord Supreme are coming into this world. These souls are none other than the souls, or the consorts, that live eternally with the Lord Supreme. And everyone wants to have a glimpse of them, wants to listen to their discourse, and even the gods and goddesses want to see them. And these would be the souls. These would be the souls who would not worship any deities. As Mahamati says, He who hai prakata Kali Yuga mein pragata aaye ke hala uttama purusha bina aur koi devi devana. They would not meditate on the lotus feet of anybody other than the Aksharatita Sri Krishna. They would devote themselves to Aksharatita Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme, but no one else. None of the deities cater that respect, that devotion that Raji Maharaj does, Aksharati Sri Krishna does, for these consorts. Yet such, in Puran Samhita, it is stated that Kali Yuga, although it is believed to be one of the most sinful of all four yugas, namely Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, among the 4 yugas, although Kali Yuga is one of the worst and most sinful, it is glorious because the consorts of the Lord Supreme would descend in this world and disseminate the transcendent understanding. In Puran Samhita, it is stated that Kalir Dhanya, Kalir Dhanya, Kalir Dhanya Munishwara Yatra Brahma Priyanam Cha Vashana Samupavashi. So Mahamati Prananath is guiding all the religious scholars of these Vedic traditions, saying that these are the souls, the arrival of these souls, the arrival of transcendent understanding was prophesied in the past, in the Vedic scriptures. These are the souls, as I already said, who would not worship any other deities, anybody else other than the Lord Supreme. They would not listen to, they would not worship anything other than the transcendent stories of the Lord Supreme, the Leelas of the Lord Supreme. Uttama Purush Vina Aur Ho Devi Devan Adhyaye Akatha Katha Navatana Kahe Jaga Shuna Pujetai. They would continue to hear the transcendent stories, Akatha Katha, that could not be told before. And listening to their stories, listening to their discourse, everyone would worship them. As Mahamati Prananath talked about the prophecies of the arrival of Lord's consorts in the transcendent understanding, they all asked Prananath to state the pilgrimage, the mode of salvation, says, and other beliefs and practices of Nijananda sect. So what is Nijananda sect? So Sri Krishna Pranami faith that we call Sri Krishna Pranami Dharma is also known as Nijananda Sampradaya or Nijananda sect. Samyak Pradiyate iti Sampradaya. What is sect? Sect is something that guides humanity in the right direction, in a direction towards God. So that is what sect is defined as. And Nijananda is Nij, meaning self, Ananda meaning bliss. So this sect has been introduced by the bliss part of Sri Krishna himself. Satguru Sri Devchandraji, the faith, the tradition, the sect that started from Satguru Sri Devchandraji, who was the bliss part of Aksharati Sri Krishna himself, as such, it is called Nijananda Sampradaya. Now Mahamati Prananath begins to introduce the faith, or he begins to state the Paddhati, the system of belief of Nijananda sect. He says, Satguru Brahma Nanda He Shutra He Akshara Rupa Sikha Sada Tinathe Pare Chaitanya Chidajo Anupa. Who is the Satguru? Who is the spiritual master? The bliss aspect of Sri Krishna, Parabrahma, the Lord Supreme. What is the sutra? The means through which all this happened? Akshara Brahma, the infallible Brahma. Sikha, who is the facilitator, who visualized the creation and all that? That is someone who is beyond Akshara, who is eternal, ever-living, the form of knowledge, knowledge absolute, who is incomparable, who is unequaled, the facilitator, the perceptor of this all is none other than Aksharatita. So, Satguru Brahma Nanda He Shutra He Akshara Rupa Sikha Sadati Nathe Pare Chaitanya Chidajo Anupa. Mahamati Prananath introduces the faith. And now he gives the reference of this. So the glory of Satguru that Prananath is singing, the attributes of a Satguru, a true spiritual master, is stated in Skanda Puran Guru Gita. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandatitam Gagana Satvisam Tattumachadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvada Saksirupam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satguru Tannamami. Describing the characteristics of Satguru, Vedvyasi writes that Satguru is the embodiment of Supreme Brahma, the Lord Supreme, and is the giver of supreme happiness, and is also the embodiment of transcendent understanding or Brahma Jnana. He is one. Satguru is one. He is vast, pure, and holy as the sky, devoid of all conflicts. I bow to such Satguru who is one, eternal, immovable, beyond feelings, and without the three attributes, Sata, Raja, and Tama. Thus, Mahamati Prananath gives the reference about Satguru from Skanda Puran Guru Gita. Now he gives the reference of Sutra, Akshara Brahma, infallible Brahma. Yadaksharam Param Brahma Tatra Sutramiti Dharayat Suchanat Sutramityahu Sutram Nama Param Padam. So talked about Akshara Brahma and how the world was created by him, and is one of the reasons for creation. Mahamati Prananath continues, and he says, Sevana he Purushottama Gotra Chidananda Jana Parama Kishori Ishta he Pativrata Sadhana Mana. So who do we serve? Mahamati says we serve Purushottama. Purushottama means Uttama Purush, the purest being, the highest being, the Lord Supreme Aksharatita Sri Krishna. Yes, Mahamati Prananath is saying that we serve Uttama Purusha. He promptly gives the reference of Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse number 16 and 17, and says that the scriptures state that Uttama Purusha is referred to as the Lord Supreme. So Mahamati Prananath is saying that we serve the Lord Supreme. Dvabhimo Purusho Loke Cherashakshara Yevachaha Chera Sharvani Bhutani Kutasto Akshara Uchyate Uttama Purushasto Anye Paramatmi Yudarita. There are two kinds of beings in creation, the Cher, the perishable, and the Akshar, the imperishable or infallible. All the perishable beings inevitably perish, but infallible being is higher than the perishable being, meaning Narayana. So Narayana is a perishable being, Akshara Brahma is the imperishable being. And Bhagavad Gita says beside these two is the Supreme Divine Personality, Uttama Purusha, and who is only stated, who is only said to be the Lord Supreme or Uttama Purusha. Uttama Purushastu Anye Paramatma Tudarita. He is only considered as the Lord Supreme. So Mahamati says that we worship only the Lord Supreme, who is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, who is eternal, incomparable. So Mahamati Prananath is giving the introduction of his faith as such. So what is our Gotra? Mahamati says, Gotra is the lineage. So in Vedic scriptures, in the Vedas, like for example, our Gotra, our lineage is started from Atreya Rishi. So from says Atreya, our lineage started. But the lineage of the consorts of the Lord Supreme did not start from sages. It started from Rasyamaji, the divine couple of Rasyamaji. So Mahamati Prananath says, our Gotra is Chidananda. Chid iti Gyan Swarupa. Chid Swarup is Aksharati Sri Krishna himself, and Ananda Swarup, the bliss part, is Syamaji herself. So our lineage started from Rasyamaji. So that is why Mahamati says, Gotra Chidananda Jana. The reference of that Mahamati Prananath gives from Puran Samhita and says, Anadi Madi Chidrupam Chidanandam Param Vivum Vrindavaneshwaram Dhyaye Trigunashaikanam. Mahamati Prananath gives a reference for the Gotra of Nijananda sect. And the deity, Sevana He Purushottama Gotra Chidananda Jana Parama Kishori Ishta Hai. Our deity is none other than Radharani or Syamaji Maharaj. So Mahamati Prananath gives the reference of that as well. And that Radharani is eternal divine companion of Aksharatita Sri Krishna. Siddha Rupa Sicharatya Radhika Jivanam Mama Sasmritva Bhavayanti Tvam Tairaham Bhavita Sada. Tatra me Vastavam Rupam Yatra Yatra Bhavadishi Mamistam Cha Mamatma Tum Radhi Bhavatyate Maya. Mahamati Prananath is introducing Radharani as the deity of the followers of Nijananda sect. And Mahamati Prananath gives the sadhana, the means by which one attains salvation or moksha. And Mahamati Prananath says that is pativrata. Pativrata sadhana mana. So what is pativrata? The exclusive devotion to the Lord Supreme, just like a wife exclusively serves her husband and vice versa. She doesn't go around, ask other for her needs. She is fully loyal, committed to that relationship. Similarly, the way one finds Krishna, the way one attains the grace of Sri Krishna is to exclusively serve Sri Raji Maharaj, Sri Krishna. That is called Ananya Bhakti. So if you look into Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna talks about the glory of Ananya Bhakti, total identification with the beloved, the Lord, the exclusive devotion, the undivided devotion to Sri Krishna. As such, Sri Krishna says, Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nityasa Tasya Ham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. O Partha Arjuna, O my friend Arjuna, for the yogis who always think of me with exclusive devotion, I am easily attainable because of their constant absorption in me. Sri Krishna further says in chapter 11, verse number 53 and 54, Naham Vedairna Tapasha Nadanena Chijjaya Bhaktya Tvanyaya Sakya Ahamevam Vidorjuna. Not by the study of Vedas, nor by penance, charity, or sacrifices, but by unalloyed devotion alone can I be known as I am standing before you, O Arjuna, says Sri Krishna. So Mahamati Prananath is giving the reference of the beliefs of Nijananda sect. That we serve Uttam Purusha, the Lord Supreme Aksharati. Gotra, Chidananda, Mahamati Prananath gave the reference of that as well. Parama Kishori Ishta hai, gave the reference of Radharani or Shamaji Maharani as the deity. And the way to find God is the unalloyed, exclusive devotion to Aksharatita Sri Krishna. As Mahamati Prananath continues, Sri Yugala Kishora ko japa mantra tartam ashoi Brahma Vidya Devi Sahi Puri Navatana Mamajor. So the mantra that the followers of Nijananda sect chant is the name of the divine couple Rasyamas. Yugala Swarupa ko japa. The mantra is Tartam that contains 16 divine letters. Mantas Chinta Mari Prokta Sona Sharno Mahamano Brahma Priyanam Dadityam Dadati Vanashansaya. Brahma Priyanam Sanidhyam Dadati Vanashansaya. The 16-letter Nijananda mantra is the mantra that they chant. The goddess is not any deity, but the transcendent understanding. Brahma Vidya, the understanding of the Brahma. And the pilgrimage is Navatan Puri Dham, the Dham established by Satguru Shree Devchandraji Maharaj. So Mahamati Prananath gets the reference from these scriptures, Varaha Samhita and others, giving credence to these beliefs, the jap, the mantra, the deity. So in Varaha Samhita, it is stated, Radheya Sahasra Krishnam Singhashane Sthitam Purvaktam Rupa Lavanyam Devya Bhushastraka Varam. So the Radharani and the Lord Sri Krishna residing in that glorious Singhasana is what we chant the name of, whose name is chanted by the followers of Sri Krishna Pranami. The mantra, Mahamati Prananath gives the reference from Bhagavad, the Tartam mantra. And Mahamati Prananath says, once you have the Tartam mantra, then you understand the distinction between all the mantras. And without Nijanam mantra, you may study all the four Vedas, but you still could not find Brahma. Nijanam pada, tina saba pada, saba mantra na ka ved, Nijanam bina khali gaye, pada pada charan ved. The goddess, Brahma Vidya, Mahamati Prananath quotes from Varaha Samhita again, that our deity, our goddess, is not a deity in form, but she is the transcendent understanding. And that Brahma Vidya, transcendent understanding, is among the best, is the best. Brahma Vidyam Pravakshami Sarva Jnana Manuttamam Yatrotpati Layam Chaiva Brahma Vishnu Maheshwara. So Mahamati Prananath is giving references to the beliefs of Sri Krishna Pranami Nijananda sect. Athuttara Saupakha Sakha Sahi Sala He Gulok Satguru Charana Ko Kshetra He Jahan Jai Sabashok. Mahamati Prananath says there are 108 steps to Paramdham. We'll explain what these 108 steps are to get to Paramdham from where we are materially. The area, the rest area is Goloka. And the area for the followers of Nijananda sect is the lotus feet of Satguru that erases all the miseries of life. Satguru charana ko kshetra hai, jahan jaye sharashok. Mahamati Prananath continues. Sukha vilasa mahe nitya vrindavana, rishi mahavishnu hai joy, veda hamaro shosham hai, tirtha yamuna joy. So Mahamati Prananath says, the place of our bliss comes from the divine leelas of Sri Krishna in eternal Vrindavan. The sage that we see, we believe is Mahavishnu or Narayana, who is the creator of this universe. What do sages do? The sages give us guidance, teach us something. Here, the world is teaching us about Raji Maharaj, about his leelas, about his form. As such, Mahamati Prananath and his sect, Nijananda sect, considers Narayana being the sage of Nijanandiya belief. The Veda that the followers of Nijananda sect chant or embrace is the fifth Veda. There are 4 Vedas already: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, and Atharva Veda. But Mahamati Prananath says we have the 5th Veda. So what is that 5th Veda? That 5th Veda is called Shosham Veda. Itihasa Puranam cha Panchamo Veda Uchyate, say the scriptures. So the history and all the Puranas is transcended by the 5th Veda. That is called Shosham Veda. So that is the 5th Veda we chant or we read, says Mahamati Prananath. That comes from the mind matrix of Akshara Brahma, known as Pranava Brahma. That is where actually these 5 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, Sam Veda, and Shosham Veda come from. The Tirtha, the pilgrimage, is Jamuna River. The Jamuna River that Satguru Maharaj created in Navatanpuri. That is the place of pilgrimage. And if we look at Jamunaji, there is Jamunaji in Padmavati Puri Dham today that Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath created by his spiritual powers. There is Jamunaji in eternal Vrindavan, and there is Jamunaji in Param Dham as well. But the Tirtha that the followers of Nijananda sect now can go to is the Jamuna River of Navatanpuri or Padmavati Puri Dham. So Mahamati Prananath states the details of these beliefs and practices of Nijananda sect as Sukha Vilasa Mahi Nitya Vrindavana, Rishi Mahavishnu Hai Joy, Veda Hamara Shoshamahe, Tirtha Yamuna Joy. So Mahamati Prananath continues. Sastra Sravana Sri Bhagavata Buddhi Jagrata Jnana. So Mahamati Prananath says we listen to the book of Bhagavata because it awakens our mind. Because what happened is when Vedvyasa created 17 Puranas, 4 Vedas, 100 Upanishads, his mind could still not be satisfied. Because he felt like there was something missing. He could not create something that was the must for the world. So he was not happy. So one day, Naradji came, the son of Lord Brahmaji, and looked at his creation, his writing, and stated that you didn't do the right thing, Vedvyasa, because you didn't create a scripture that could guide humanity to eternal salvation. You didn't write about Lord Sri Krishna and his leelas. And when Vedvyasa started writing Bhagavad Mahapurana and included the understanding of Sri Krishna Leela in it, then he felt really, really good. Mula mula hamaro ananda he phala nitya vihara pramana divya brahma pura dhama he gara aksharatita nivasa. Mahamati Prananath says, Divya Brahma Pura Dham, the eternal abode of Paramdham, where Aksharatita, the Lord Supreme, reside, is our Dham, is the place of our moksha. And it is introduced by Sri Devchandraji Maharaj. It's called Nijananda Sampradaya, Nijananda sect. Then Sri Devchandraji Nijananda Jina Pragata Kari Sampradaya Tinate Hamayah Lakhi Dwara Bhavi Avate. Because of his understanding, because of the understanding of Satguru Sri Devchandraji Maharaj, that we are awakened now, and with him the door of eternal salvation has opened for us. It was the year 1735. Giving references to all these Vedic scriptures, Mahamati Prananath introduces Nijananda sect to the world. There are hundreds of sages, hundreds of religious scholars. They are so dedicatedly listening to Mahamati Prananath because they have heard something they have never heard before. These religious scholars could be victorious in any religious debates, but in front of Mahamati Prananath, they are feeling helpless. And they are spellbounded by the erudition, the scholarship of Mahamati Prananath. As Mahamati Prananath introduces the Dham, he says from the Bhagavad Gita, Nattad bhashayate shuryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gattva na nivartante tat dhama paramam mama. Neither the sun nor the moon nor fire can illumine that supreme abode of mine, says Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Having gone there, one does not return to this material world again. So Mahamati Prananath thus quoting from all these Vedic scriptures, stating that this Nijananda sect is holding on to those beliefs and practices that are eternal. The place of moksha is eternal. Paramdham is eternal. The Lord that they worship is eternal. Everything is out of the ordinary, out of this world, transcendent. So as Mahamati Prananath introduces the Paddhati, the system of belief, the mode of the practices of Sri Krishna Pranami Pith Nijananda sect, now they do not have any questions. Because there is no point of contention. Mahamati Prananath is quoting all these Vedic scriptures. He is not making these up. He is quoting from Bhagavad Gita. He is quoting from Purana Samhita. He is quoting from Skanda Purana. He is quoting from Varaha Samhita. He is quoting from Maheshwar Tantra. All these Vedic references that Mahamati gives are uncontested. When Mahamati Prananath introduces the divine abode of Paramdham, the transcendent understanding of Dharma, then they all conceded and began glorifying Mahamati Prananath. So if you go to Haridwar today, they do the Arati of Ganga every evening. So that day, these saints, sages and scholars began doing the Arati of Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath. They declared him the Niskalanka Buddha avatar. So there is a Vedic prophecy that in the Kali Yuga, to remove all the darkness and ignorance from the world, awakened personality would appear in this world called Buddha avatar, the incarnation of awakened consciousness. They declared it was none other than Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath. And they gave him a title Niskalanka, without any stigmas, because he introduced Aksharatita Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme, whom the Vedas called transcendent. The Vedas called someone that could not be known. Such transcendent Brahma and his Leelas were brought to humanity by Mahamati Prananath. As such, he was called Niskalanka Buddha Avatar. And then they started doing the Arati of Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath. As we chant every evening while we serve Sri Raji Maharaj, Vainere Navakhando Arati, Sri Vijayavinanda Buddha Ji ki Arati, Prema Magana Hue Utarati, Sakya Papya Varati, Vainere Navakhando Arati. Dusnai Savonki Sangarati, Sukha Khanda Ananda Vistarati, Jana Sachara Charatarati, Vainere Navakhando Arati, Sanya Save Singara Sajati, Mineshwarat Piyaji ki Virajati, Shobha Itahi Sajati, Vainere Navakhando Arati. Jhalera Agarita Vajile Vajati, Brahmanda Venovata Gajati, Kaliyuga Shena Sunne Vajati, Vainere Navakhando Arati. All these religious leaders, saints, and scholars are doing the Arati of Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath. The whole world that was awaiting the arrival of the incarnation of awakened consciousness, the arrival of the Lord Supreme, the arrival of the transcendent understanding has come and is validated by all the saints and sages. The mood of the entire universe is blissful today. The deities, the gods and goddesses are spewing flowers and all those things, good things. They are singing the glory of Prananath. Aye Navanatha Chaurashi Siddha Varsha Nura Sakalaya Vida Itai Vitaji Eshi Kita Vainere Navakhando Arati. All these deities are coming together, singing the glory of Prananath. Because with him, Imam Mehdi has come. With him, Jesus has come again. With him, Buddha Niskalanka Avatar has come. With him has come the Lord Supreme. The whole world was awaiting this moment. So everybody does the Arati of Mahamati Prananath, declaring him the incarnation of awakened consciousness. Dear Sundar Shahji, such glorious personality is Mahamati Prananath, who had all 5 divine powers of Aksharatita Sri Krishna. That is why we call him Prananath. Prananath, the master of my body, the master of my life. He is the God. He is the Lord Supreme. He is the embodiment of Aksharatita Sri Krishna in this world. That is why we sing his glory. That's why the world was singing his glory in 1735. Sadly, but truly, the world does not know Prananath today. The glory of Prananath is kept in the dark for so many years. While the world is singing the glory of some of the saints and sages that talk nothing but about living happily, just give few motivational speeches and that's it, and they're famous all around the world. Mahamati Prananath brought that transcendent understanding, the understanding the world was looking for and could not even go near. Dear Sundar Shahji, that is why we say that it is our responsibility to spread, to propagate this great understanding of Dharma. As a disciple, as followers of Mahamati Swami Sri Prananath, it is our undeniable duty and responsibility to spread the glory of Prananath in his teachings. If we can't, if we fail, I doubt how we could live happily even in Paramdham. Because that's the promise we made to Sri Raji Maharaj. If we cannot sing his glory, despite knowing his attributes, then how can we even call ourselves Sundar Shant? Syamajina Anga ho Sundar Shant. How can we call ourselves the beloveds of Sri Raji Maharaj, the Lord Supreme? That is the question. Let's take a moment and reflect on that. If we truly consider ourselves the consorts of the Lord, we always sing His glory. We always sing the glory of Sri Krishna. We always sing the glory of Prananath. We always sing the glory of Sundar Shats. We always sing the glory of Satguru Shree Devchandraji Maharaj. We sing the glory of Tartam. That is what we gotta do. With this, I conclude my remarks for today. Thank you all so much for joining in. So tomorrow we'll talk about Mahamati Prananathji's journey to Delhi again, because he does not give up in his pursuit of awakening the souls of Paramdham. So he's trying yet again, reaching out to the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, reminding him of the true teachings of Islam, such that he could avoid injustice, his tyranny against the Hindus.